schedule. This seemed like one, but then they're missing 2 MVP candidates, a top defenseman, they're starting goalie. How do you balance what is a really good win against a good team, but the context of what they're missing at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I evaluate us first, and I thought we were just very average in the first period, but then played very well in the second and third. So they're a good team no matter what. They had won 3 in a row. We talked about that coming in, and didn't like how we played in the first, and I really like the second and third. So we'll measure it on that from our side.
That's 13 straight starts, 2 goals or less, 5 shutouts from Darcy. Is he your team MVP?
You might be our stats MVP. I can tell you that. I don't know how you keep that all together. He is our backbone, and you can ask me again next game too. Same thing. He is our backbone, and he has been. He's played very well.
Speaking of stats, Kevin gets to 30 goals.
Yeah.
Again, he himself said that his season's been up and down. Yet he reaches, gets to that mark here. How would you look at his season and the stages that it's gone through, and even with how he's playing right now?
Season's probably aged both him and I, to be honest with you. I think it's aged him, but I hope it's aged us both in a good way. He's playing his best. I'm going to say over the last week, he's played as well as I've seen him play. So we've got a ways to go. But if you've noticed him back checking, lifting sticks, forechecking, he tracked somebody down the other night, stole the pucks. Beyond the 30 goals, and I'm really happy for him because he hasn't had the best season, and he's sitting here with 30 goals. That's not easy to do. But right now, the way he's playing, couldn't be happier with him.
You also called it, though, Jim. You said just, late January, early
Yeah.
February, this was going to happen.
Well, it wasn't a straight line from January, trust me. But right now, it's where he needs to be. Yeah, it wasn't a straight line, though.
When he was acquired, I mean, he was brought here to maybe bring some different elements that you guys maybe didn't have. Okay, so now you flash forward to now. Is this about the best he's been in terms of meshing his talents with how you guys want to play, and that being all in sync?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's, it's easy to evaluate Kevin strictly on his play with the puck, and he does that as well. It speaks for itself, but I think there was just some consistency in some other areas of the game that we wanted from him. And I think right now, over the last week, 10 days at least, he's given us exactly what we want. And I think he feels pretty good about it. He should, because he still created a lot of offense during that same time.
And looking at Kevin and the improvement you're talking about there, for a coaching staff, is that almost like a personal win, like the satisfaction you get to see a player make that kind of jump, especially this late in his career, the kind of play that he has?
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
feeling for you guys?
Well, yeah, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it feels, but it's always, it's never a finished product, no player. But I think it feels good. It feels good probably for him, and it does for me because it's been trying at times this season. And, we've just asked more of him. And he's asked more of himself, I'll be honest with you. He wanted to change the narrative around himself. It's not an easy thing to do. But, we talk about the penalties, the bad penalties, those kinds of things. They've, for the most part, gone away. So give him full credit. But he has to want to do it, and he wanted to do it. It just takes some time.
Jim, what do you think about your makeshift fourth line, kind of with the injuries you're dealing with? A lot has that nice goal taken off the board.
Yeah.
Seems like they're playing some of the better hockey of late.
Yeah, they were. We kind of, we're all so excited about Gino and Turk and Sammy. We talked about it here night after night. And I think it took a little time, but now I see some real chemistry coming again between Louis and Malott and Hellenius. And it's important. Those are important minutes. We were saying he had a highlight fight. The first fight in the NHL was a highlight reel fight. This would have been a highlight reel goal. It's too bad it came back on an inch. That's the rules. But what a way to start. So Mally's done a real good job. He's really adapted to the NHL at this time of the season when you can't get your feet wet, you're thrown right in the frying pan. He's just done a really good job. Really good job adapting.
Another great stat. You're the best team in the league in the first period. And that should mean a lot, right? You always want to get off to a good start. So how much do you stress that with the guys?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's really important. It is. I think our third periods have been pretty good too, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the stats. Yeah, you want a good start, you want a good finish, you want a good middle. You know what I mean? So it's hard to choose one or the other, but we'll take the first and third specifically because that's where our strongest, and we'd like to be better in the second. But good starts are always important because you put yourself behind the eight ball, and we're a team. We get the lead, we play a better game when teams have to come and chase us a little bit. So, that probably has led to some of the success.
We're a point away from making the playoffs. What would it mean to you personally for back-to-back playoffs in 2 seasons?
I don't know, I haven't thought about it a lot, Dennis. I would say I think for every organization in the league, I'll say organization, top to bottom, that includes the fans, to make the playoffs is an outstanding achievement for everybody involved. It really is. And you can say, well, some teams have made it excellent. Well, good for them. They've done a nice job with their organization and with their fans to get into the playoffs year after year. This is not easy to do. So I can tell you from an organizational standpoint, we'll be very proud if we make the playoffs.
If Calgary wins, you're a point out of first.
Mhm.
If you lose, you've clinched the playoffs. Who are you rooting for tonight?
I'm going to have you guess.
Like the goaltender.
What's that?
Like the goaltender.
Like the goaltenders, yeah. We'll watch the game with interest. There'll be a certain team that we'll take the result. There'll be a certain team we'll be pulling for tonight.
Jim, you've preached all year the importance of just playing your game, not worrying about the competition. But given how depleted they were, what was the message coming in about, hey, this is a really important win over a depleted team to not let them get, any sort of a mental advantage?
Yeah, well, we knew it was going to be a good game. They check hard. They check hard when everybody's in the lineup. They check hard when they're missing a few guys. I can tell you this, the guys in that room and their room, I'm pretty sure they would have liked nothing more to come into this building and beat us without the players that they don't have right now. I'm sure they were ready for that. I'm sure that conversation took place in their room. So we had to be ready for that. And I thought they played really well. I mean, it was a close game.
Jim, late in the game you had with the Oilers now empty, you had Brent Clark out there. I don't know if that was maybe just the flow of the game or what went behind that decision. We haven't really seen him in that position
Right.
so far this year.
You'd have to ask Smitty. Smitty makes those decisions for the most part. Yeah, I mean, I think Brant's defended pretty well. I think he was one part of the game we asked him to have a focus and an emphasis on, and I think, he had this rough patch, whatever you want to call it. I think since then he's come back more determined, more focused, and he's earned those opportunities. Much like Kevin. Kevin was on the ice with the net, the goalie pulled in Utah, right? He's earned it, so he gets to go. That's part of the decision. If you give the coach what the coach wants, then you get those opportunities. You earn them. So, and I would say that for Clarkie.
When asked about Fogle and Kuzmenko, obviously very different personalities and players, but they both have a lot of instability in terms of coaching. 5-6 coaches in a short period of time. When we talk to him now, Fogle talks about trust and support for Kuzmenko. How much have you kind of tried to maybe put an arm around them and make them feel comfortable here after what they've been through in the early part of their careers, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you play hard and you play well, everybody will put their arm around you. You know what I mean? Now, I would say, and it's always, you always like to hear it from the coach, but I'm telling you, the teammates are the ones that really matter in the end. Your teammates support you. They realize the job you're doing. That's where the internal pride comes from. It's good to hear from the coach. You want the coaches on your side. And, I think we like to tell them when they do things well, and we point them out when we don't like what they do. But you're right, with those two players, it's pretty hard to find too many nights that you don't like what they're doing.
Okay, jumping off that, Victor Arvidsson coming back tonight, your time kind of synced up with his. Can you talk about his value to maybe some of the players on the team, to the team in general, during that kind of transitional period when you guys were on the upswing here?
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about Arby. I would say this. I'm a big fan of the way he plays the game. I think he knows that. I thought he was excellent on the power play for us in particular. Dangerous player with good hockey sense. Yeah, but he's not on our team. But he's a player, and he knows how I feel about him.
You mentioned Jeff Mott earlier, how well he's acclimated to the NHL, how quick he's been successful with that fourth line. Is there almost an element where he's starting to give you a headache? Because what are you going to do when you're fully healthy? How do you take that guy out of the lineup now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a bridge we'll cross when we come to it. You know what I mean? I can see you're thinking ahead, which is fine. Yeah, we haven't thought that far ahead. And I don't know how quickly those players are coming back either. So, I don't think that they're just on the cusp of coming back right now.
Jim, as much as home ice has not been an advantage that strong in the playoffs the last several years, how how much does it mean to you guys because of the way you are playing on home ice, if you can get it in that first round?
Well, I mean, we'd certainly like to earn it. You know what I mean? For some reason, this year in particular, we played extremely well here at home. So you'd like to have that advantage. But there's lots of hockey left to play, and you can't look past anybody. Everybody in the league is, like, I mean, you've seen us play enough times. We've probably had 5 or 6 wins that haven't necessarily been come down right to the wire in the end. And it doesn't matter who we play. So we got to make sure we're just taking care of business one game at a time, see where it lands.
And once you clinch, are you going to look at how you deploy guys like Kopitar and Campaign, or Drew and Darcy? Might you look at it differently once you clinch?
I don't know. When we do, then we'll probably think about it. But I don't know. Not a big fan of that, to be honest with you. I think you got to play. You get your motor running and you get feeling good, and then you play. It's drop it into second gear, and then you get, sometimes it doesn't go too well. So that's my thoughts on it, but that doesn't mean that we don't do something like that if we do in fact clinch.
Jimmy, you mentioned those injured players maybe are on the cusp of returning. Do you expect Turcotte back before the playoffs at least, or do you not know at this point?
You know what? I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't know. The nature of the injuries, who knows?